Hello my beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. Today's video I'm very excited to do because we're going to be talking about the newly launched Mirage palette from Alter Ego. In today's video I'm going to share the overview on this palette. I'm also going to show you 3 look tutorials, and I put the Mirage palette side by side with Empowered from Huda Beauty. If you have any additional questions, any additional thoughts throughout this video at any point, leave your comments and questions under this video. I would be more than happy to chat with you here. And if you're new here on my channel, hi, my name is Eve. I love all things beauty. Here on my channel, I share about beauty and lifestyle. And if that sounds like your thing, I hope you stick around, subscribe to my channel. And now without further ado, let's dive in. Mirage eyeshadow palette was launched on October 5th. It is available on brand's website. I think the design and the name of the palette is very interesting and definitely reflects the color story. The Mirage palette retails for $24. It does have 12 months shelf life. It is also cruelty free. The outside packaging looks just exactly the same as the palette. On the outer packaging, you have more information of the ingredients, and then on the back of the palette, you do have a diagram of the shades. The palette packaging itself, it feels like nice thick cardboard, has a magnetic closure, and does have a full-size mirror. And if we are to compare the sizes with the Huda Beauty Empowered palette, they are pretty much identical, same size. Hey guys, this is the first finished makeup look. I added my Maybelline the Falsies Surreal mascara. This is what I'm currently using. So these are all the shades that I use, all the mattes in the gradient. So in the palette, I basically used most of these shades except this cooler tone one, and then I used this shimmer, and this shimmer to create the look, and then we went into this shade, and this is the cream brown. So as far as the mattes, there is a good amount of kickback when you pick up them from the pan, and the formula seems to be consistent. I got the same result, the same amount of kickback from all the mattes that I used for this look. So I feel like the colors are pretty true to what you see here. That's what showed up on my skin. I felt like all the lighter mattes here, I did not have any issues with them. They just kind of blended into each other and by themselves pretty well and built up pretty well. If you saw that in my tutorial, I had a little bit of trouble packing this shade. It just wouldn't stick to the corner of my eye for some reason. When it came to this shade, it was kind of the same situation. It is also quite pigmented, so I really like the depth and definition that it created in this makeup look. However, I just felt like it was a little bit tricky to do it in the outer corner. Again, I will still be playing with them. I definitely want to try them separately again in different combinations, and will give you my final thoughts, because again, this is a very first impression on this palette. And as far as this cream formula, so it is very emollient, a very creamy formula, very pigmented. However, I felt a little bit of difficulty blending it. I feel like it actually just stuck to my skin. I definitely enjoyed it as an eyeliner. It has a full opacity, it has that beautiful creaminess, it doesn't skip, you don't have to push on it, it doesn't dry it out too fast. So as an eyeliner, it's actually very, very beautiful. As you can see, it's here, it gives you really nice pigment and definition, and it also went on my waterline beautifully. I definitely need to play around with it a little bit more as a base for my eyeshadows. When it comes to shimmers, they are a little bit textured. I definitely have a good amount of glitter leftovers under my eye that wouldn't come off after I try to brush them off with a brush. However, they are very nice and creamy. These two are the same formula, what seemed to be the same formula. This one has that jelly river going through, and it's actually more creamy. It almost has this like full foil creamy effect, and I definitely prefer applying all of these shades with a finger. I think the effect is much better. You get less fallout that way too. So these are my initial thoughts. So these are all the swatches of the shades that I use. So these shimmers are slightly bit different. This inner corner is the same inner corner that I used here. It's the lighter shade in the palette, so I just used that one. And then these two shimmers are different. This is more of your satin shade, but it's also is a little bit more of like complex shimmer. It does have like the goldiness and like a rosy, almost like a rose gold type of shift to it. Very nice formula, but more satin, more smooth. Like it's not chunky at all in comparison to this type of formula. This also is a pretty shade. It has a purple shimmers, but black and grayish based. Very interesting, very unique shade in a way. I basically used all these shades, including the both cream one, this shade, and this shade in the inner corner, and I dipped into this shade also initially. I like the concept of this look. I like a nice grungy, cooler tone, smoky eye with a purple, like iridescent type of lid. I generally enjoy the concept. I would definitely do like more dramatic lashes here. However, I feel like I experienced a little bit of patchiness initially when I started building up the crease. I tried to save it at the very end once everything was done. So for this final third look, I would like to put the Mirage palette from Alter Ego side by side with Empowered from Huda Beauty. So I'm going to use this palette on this side, and I'm gonna use the Mirage on my right side. And then at the end, I'm gonna give you my final thoughts, how the formula is compared, and some other things. So let's go. Okay, the look is half done. I will definitely be doing a lot of cleaning under because the gold shades have a lot of fallout. That's why I'm doing this makeup look first. But now let's go do the Mirage on this side. So now it's time I give you my first impression, final thoughts about the Mirage palette from Alter Ego. And I thought it would be fair if I would separate my thoughts into two different sections. Let's first talk about this specific palette on its own, in its own entity, as if HUDA palette never existed. If you are to look at this palette, I think the name and the design of the palette is just so beautiful, and it also reflects the color story. I also love how the color story is arranged, almost separated into the warmer section right here and the cooler tones right here, and then you get these fun different shimmer formulas and shades in the middle to spice up your looks. I really enjoy how the warmer tones really go well together with the cooler tones here in this palette. They kind of create somewhat like a cohesive story. If you mix them together, they do not clash. As far as the formulations here, all the mattes, to my opinion, are the same formula. They're very consistent. You do get a good amount of kickback when you pick them up from the pan with a brush. However, once you start blending, there's no fallout on the mattes, and I found that the lighter mattes blend a little bit easier than the darker mattes. I struggled with packing some of these darker shades. I felt like they would not stick to certain areas of my outer corner. It could be just my eye. I'm not sure. This is, again, my first interaction with this specific palette. As far as this cream formulas, they are the same. One is brown, one is black. They are very emollient when you touch them. They are very pigmented. You get a lot of color right away, and they seem to be like buttery smooth, like very, very emollient. However, when I packed it on my eye, I felt like it grabbed into the skin area and I couldn't smudge it. Maybe it was my user error also. I feel like maybe going into thinner layers and trying to smudge it right away or buff it into your skin would make a difference. So that's something that I need to play around with. But these work as eyeliners on your lid so beautifully. It also goes beautifully into your waterline. And as far as the shimmer formulas, there's several of them. I think there's 4 different ones. So you get like fully foiled ones, and there's this very interesting jelly formula. It's kind of similar to this, but it has a little bit more of like the creamy silicone feel to it because there is that clear silicone river going through. And then there's the satin shade, the marble satin shade, very pretty like rose gold color, very nice, and I would say the most like subdued shade out of all of them. And then this is a very nice, almost like a purple shimmery topper with a gray black base. So generally I feel like if you like this color story, you're gonna enjoy the palette. It definitely takes a little bit of time or like a learning curve to get used to these formulations, because when it comes to shimmers and some of these like cream formulas, it takes a little bit of practice, you know, to try them a few times and figure out like which brushes you like to use, and if you like to use finger, if you like to spray your shades, things like that. So I definitely think like that could be the case with this palette. And so the next question is, how does this compare to the Empowered from Huda Beauty? As far as the quality, I feel like the mattes in Huda Beauty eyeshadow palette, they do not have as much kickback right off the bat. Cream formulas, I think they're a little bit less emollient in Huda palette. I don't think you can really tell the difference much. If you didn't know that I used 2 separate palettes on 2 of my eyes today, I don't think you would be able to tell the difference, to be honest with you. So, however, the price difference is pretty significant. So I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful or entertaining. If you have any additional questions, comments, leave them underneath this video. I would be more than happy to chat with you there. If you would like to watch more Alter Ego eyeshadow palettes related videos, I will leave the playlist for you at the end of this video, as well as underneath this video in the description box. And also, if you'd like to check out dedicated video for Huda Beauty Empowered palette, I also have that video for you available. Before you leave today, like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done that already. Thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you in my next one. Bye.